Everyone at the office knew him as the quiet janitor who kept to himself. But when Sarah Bennett decided to follow him one evening, she uncovered a secret so profound it would redefine the meaning of sacrifice and resilience. What she found would leave her, and you, speechless. Before we dive into this incredible story, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a life-changing tale like this one. The Mysterious Janitor. The fluorescent lights of Hartford Financial Services buzzed softly overhead as Sarah Bennett rubbed her tired eyes. Another late night at the office. Spreadsheets blurred together on her screen, and the empty coffee cup beside her keyboard was a silent testament to the hours she'd poured into this project. She sighed, stretching her arms above her head. The building was nearly empty, just the hum of the air conditioning and the faint squeak of a mop down the hall. Then she saw him. Marcus Doyle, the janitor who always worked the night shift. Tall, broad-shouldered, but moving with a quiet efficiency that made him almost invisible to the corporate employees rushing past him during the day. Sarah had never paid him much attention, just a polite nod here and there, the way one acknowledges a stranger who exists in the periphery of their life. But tonight, something was different. She watched as he paused near the window, his back turned to her. His usual methodical rhythm was broken. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, creased photograph. Even from a distance, Sarah could see the way his shoulders tensed as he stared at it. His thumb brushed over the image once, twice, before he carefully folded it and tucked it back into his jacket. Why did a simple photograph make a man like Marcus look like his heart was breaking? Sarah shouldn't have cared. She had deadlines, emails to answer, a life of her own to tend to. But curiosity was a stubborn thing. She packed up her things slowly, stealing glances as Marcus resumed his work, pushing the mop across the tiled floor with the same quiet dedication as always. When he disappeared around the corner, she hesitated. Then, before she could talk herself out of it, she followed. The parking garage was nearly empty, the cold Chicago air biting at her skin as she stepped outside. Marcus was already halfway across the lot, his silhouette outlined under the dim yellow glow of the streetlights. He didn't walk like a man who was just finishing another shift. He walked like someone carrying a weight no one else could see. Sarah told herself she was just being nosy, that she should get in her car, drive home, and forget about this.
But her feet moved anyway.
She kept her distance as Marcus boarded a bus, slipping in just before the doors closed. The ride was longer than she expected, taking them away from the polished high-rises of downtown and into a neighborhood where the buildings wore their age like a badge of endurance. Graffiti marked the brick walls, and flickering neon signs advertised pawn shops and diners that had seen better days. When Marcus finally stepped off, Sarah followed, her pulse quickening. This wasn't just curiosity anymore. This was something deeper, something she couldn't name. He walked with purpose, turning down a side street lined with narrow houses, their paint chipped but their windows glowing with warm light. Then he stopped in front of one, small, weathered, but unmistakably cared for. The porch light was on, as if someone had been waiting for him. Sarah held her breath as the front door opened. A little girl, no older than 8, burst out, her braids bouncing as she launched herself into Marcus's arms. He lifted her effortlessly, spinning her once before settling her against his hip. From the doorway, a woman in a wheelchair smiled, her voice carrying softly through the night. "You're late tonight." Lily was starting to worry. Marcus kissed the top of the girl's head. "Sorry, Mija. Extra floors tonight." Sarah's chest tightened. This wasn't just a house. This was a home, a family, and Marcus wasn't just a janitor. She took a step back, suddenly feeling like an intruder. But before she could turn away, the little girl, Lily, looked up. Their eyes met. For a heartbeat, the world stood still. Then Lily tilted her head, curious, but not afraid. Sarah's breath caught. She had come looking for answers. Now she had too many. The hidden life. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs as Lily's curious gaze locked onto hers. Time seemed to slow, the rustle of the evening wind, the distant hum of traffic, the warm glow spilling from the house's open door. She should have turned away. She should have apologized and left. But her feet stayed rooted to the cracked sidewalk. Marcus followed Lily's line of sight, his expression shifting from warmth to confusion, then to something sharper, wariness. His grip on his daughter tightened just slightly. "Who's that, Daddy?" Lily asked, her voice bright and unafraid. Sarah swallowed hard. There was no hiding now. Marcus set Lily down gently, his eyes never leaving Sarah's. "Go inside, Mija," he murmured. The little girl hesitated, glancing between them before obeying, though she left the door slightly ajar behind her. The silence between Sarah and Marcus stretched, heavy with unspoken questions. The street lamp flickered overhead, casting long shadows across his face. "You followed me," he said finally. It wasn't a question. Sarah's face burned. I didn't mean to." "Why?" The word was quiet but sharp, like the edge of a knife. She had no good answer. She could lie, say she'd been curious about where he lived, but the weight of the truth pressed against her chest. "I saw you looking at that photo at work," she admitted. "You look sad." "I just wanted to know why." Marcus exhaled through his nose, his shoulders tensing. "So, you followed me home?" Guilt twisted in Sarah's stomach. "It was stupid. I'm sorry." She took a step back, ready to leave, ready to pretend this never happened. But then the door creaked open wider, and the woman in the wheelchair rolled forward onto the porch. She had the same sharp eyes as Marcus, though her smile was softer. "Mijo, who's your friend?" Marcus hesitated, but before he could answer, Lily piped up from behind him. "She's the lady from Daddy's work." Sarah's breath caught. She expected anger, accusations, but the woman, Elena, she'd later learn, just studied her with quiet curiosity. "Well, are you going to invite her in? Or are we all going to stand out here all night?" Marcus shot his sister a look, but Elena ignored him, waving Sarah forward. "Come inside. It's cold out here." Sarah hesitated, but something in Elena's tone, firm but kind, made her obey. The house was small, the walls lined with family photos and children's drawings. The furniture was worn but clean, the air smelling faintly of spices and laundry detergent. Lily tugged at Sarah's sleeve. "Do you work with my daddy?" Sarah nodded, crouching slightly to meet the girl's eyes. "I do. My name's Sarah." "I'm Lily. And that's my tia Elena." She pointed proudly at the woman in the wheelchair. Elena smiled. "Nice to meet you, Sarah. Though I'm guessing this isn't how you usually introduce yourself to coworkers." Sarah winced.
"No.
Definitely not." Marcus still hadn't moved from the doorway, his arms crossed. "Sarah was just leaving," he said, his voice tight. Elena raised an eyebrow. "After she came all this way? At least offer her some coffee." Sarah expected him to refuse, but after a long moment, Marcus sighed and stepped inside, closing the door behind him.
"Fine."
But then she goes. As he disappeared into the kitchen, Elena rolled her eyes. "Don't mind him. He's always been stubborn." Sarah bit her lip. "I shouldn't have come. I didn't mean to invade our privacy." Elena finished. "Maybe not. But you're here now. Might as well tell us what you were hoping to find." The question hung in the air. What had she been hoping to find? Some dramatic secret? A reason for the sadness she'd seen in Marcus's eyes? Lily tugged at her sleeve again. "Do you want to see my room?" Sarah blinked, caught off guard by the sudden shift. Sure." Lily beamed and grabbed her hand, pulling her down the hallway before Marcus could protest. The little girl's room was small but bursting with color, drawings taped to the walls, a bookshelf overflowing with well-loved stories, a bed covered in a patchwork quilt. "I made this one," Lily said proudly, pointing to a crayon drawing of 3 stick figures, one tall, one in a wheelchair, and one small with braids. "That's Daddy, Tia, and me." Sarah's throat tightened. "It's beautiful." Lily grinned, then hesitated. "Daddy says we're a team. Just the 3 of us." Before Sarah could respond, Marcus appeared in the doorway, his expression unreadable. "Coffee's ready." Back in the living room, Elena handed Sarah a chipped mug. "So," she said, her voice light but her eyes sharp, "what do you do in my brother's job?" I'm in marketing, Sarah said, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. I've seen Marcus around, but we've never really talked. Elena hummed. And now you've seen where he lives. Met his family. What's next? The question was pointed, and Sarah floundered for an answer. I don't know. Marcus leaned against the wall, his arms crossed. She leaves, and we forget this happened. Elena gave him a look. Me, Joe. She's already here. Maybe it's time someone at that fancy office of yours knew the truth. Sarah frowned. The truth? Marcus's jaw clenched, but Elena ignored him. My brother isn't just a janitor, she said simply. He's also a full-time student. Pre-med. Sarah's eyes widened. What? Marcus exhaled sharply. Elena. No. Elena cut in. You've been killing yourself trying to do it all alone. Maybe it's time someone knew. Sarah stared at Marcus, pieces clicking into place, the exhaustion in his eyes, the way he'd looked at that photo at work. You're going to medical school? He didn't answer at first, his gaze fixed on the floor. Then, finally, he muttered, trying to. Lily, who'd been quietly coloring at the table, piped up. Daddy's gonna be a doctor. He helps Tia all the time. Elena smiled softly. He does. But it's not easy, working nights and going to school during the day. Sarah's chest ached. All this time, she'd assumed Marcus was just another face in the background. But he was fighting for something bigger, for his family, for a future. And she'd barged into his life like some nosy intruder. I had no idea, she whispered. Marcus finally met her eyes. Now you do. The weight of the moment settled over them. Sarah had come looking for a story. She'd found so much more. The unexpected connection. The hum of the office coffee machine filled the silence as Sarah stared blankly at her computer screen. Numbers and charts blurred together, her mind still replaying last night's revelations. Marcus, a pre-med student. A single father. A man carrying the weight of his family's future on his shoulders while scrubbing floors at night. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lily's bright smile, Elena's knowing gaze, the quiet defiance in Marcus's eyes when he'd finally told her the truth. Now you do. The words echoed in her head. Now she knew. But what was she supposed to do with that knowledge? Her fingers hovered over her keyboard, useless. Across the office, the break room door swung open, and Sarah's breath hitched. Marcus walked in. He didn't glance her way, moving straight to the sink to fill his water bottle. The fluorescent lights highlighted the shadows under his eyes, deeper today, like he hadn't slept either. Sarah's pulse thrummed.
She should say something. Apologize again.
Ask if he was okay. But the words tangled in her throat. Then Marcus turned, his dark eyes locking onto hers. The air between them crackled. He didn't smile, didn't nod, just held her gaze for one long, unreadable moment before walking out. Sarah exhaled sharply. That was it? After everything? Her chair scraped against the floor as she stood. She couldn't let this go. The janitor's closet was tucked at the end of a dim hallway, its door slightly ajar. Sarah hesitated, then knocked softly. No answer. She pushed the door open. Marcus stood with his back to her, organizing cleaning supplies on a metal shelf. His shoulders tensed at the sound of her footsteps. We shouldn't talk here, he said without turning around. Sarah swallowed. Then where? Because we need to. Need to what? He finally faced her, his voice low but sharp. You got your answers last night. What else is there? The cramped space made the air feel thicker, the scent of bleach and lemon cleaner overwhelming. Sarah forced herself to meet his eyes. I want to help. Marcus scoffed. Help how? By telling everyone at the office my sad story? Making me your charity project? No. Just what, Sarah? He took a step closer, his jaw tight. You followed me home like I was some kind of mystery to solve. Now you know the truth. I don't need your pity. It's not pity. The words burst out louder than she intended. She lowered her voice. It's respect. What you're doing for Lily, for Elena, it's incredible. But you shouldn't have to do it alone. Marcus studied her face, searching for something. Why do you care? The question hung between them. Sarah hesitated. Why did she care? Because she'd seen the photo? Because she felt guilty for never noticing him before? Or because something in his story had cracked open a hollow place in her own life, one filled with long work hours and empty apartments and no one waiting for her to come home? Because it's the right thing to do, she said finally. Marcus exhaled, rubbing a hand over his face. Look, I appreciate the thought, but I've got this under control. Do you? Sarah gestured to the closet around them. You're working nights, going to school during the day, taking care of your family. When do you sleep? When do you study? A muscle twitched in his jaw. I manage. Barely. The word slipped out before she could stop it. Marcus's eyes flashed. You don't know anything about my life. I know enough to see you're drowning. Sarah took a breath, forcing her voice to soften. Let me help. Just tell me one thing you need. One thing that would make this easier. Silence stretched between them, then so quiet she almost missed it. Lily's school tuition is due next month. Sarah blinked. Okay, we can. I'm not asking for money, Marcus cut in sharply. I'm just saying that's the reality. I don't need handouts. I need time. Time to study, time to work, time to— He broke off, running a hand through his hair. It doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. Sarah studied him, the stubborn set of his shoulders, the pride warring with exhaustion in his eyes. She'd seen that look before. On her mother, years ago, when the bills piled up and the nights got longer. An idea sparked. What if, she said slowly, I could get you a better job here? Day shift. Higher pay. Same hours as Lily's school. Marcus frowned. Janitors don't get. Not as a janitor. Sarah met his gaze. Hartford has a tuition assistance program for employees. If you switch to an admin position, you'd qualify. For the first time, something flickered in Marcus's expression. Not anger, not defiance.
Hope.
Then it vanished. They'd never hire me for that. They would if someone recommended you. Sarah stepped closer. I know the HR director. Let me talk to her. Marcus shook his head. Why would you stick your neck out for me? Because everyone deserves a shot, Sarah said simply. And because Lily deserves to see her dad succeed. Something shifted in Marcus's face. He looked away, his throat working. When he spoke again, his voice was rough. I'll think about it. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no. Sarah nodded. That's all I'm asking. She turned to leave, but Marcus's voice stopped her. Sarah. She glanced back. Thank you. 2 words, quiet but sincere. Sarah smiled. Don't thank me yet. As she walked away, her steps felt lighter than they had in months. The HR director's office was all glass walls and sleek furniture, a world away from the janitor's closet. Sarah sat across from Diane Carter, who sipped her latte with a polite but puzzled smile. So let me get this straight, Diane said. You want me to transfer a janitor to an administrative role? Based on what qualifications? Sarah leaned forward. Asterisk, based on the fact that he's a pre-med student with a 3.9 GPA, fluent in Spanish, and the hardest worker in this building. Asterisk. Diane raised an eyebrow. And you know this how? Because I took the time to ask. Sarah held her gaze. Diane, you're always talking about diversity initiatives, about giving opportunities to overlooked talent. Here's your chance to prove you mean it. A long pause. Then Diane set down her cup. Send me his resume. No promises. Sarah's heart leapt. Thank you. She practically floated back to her desk, already mentally drafting an email to Marcus. But as she rounded the corner, she froze. Marcus stood by her cubicle, holding a folded piece of paper. Their eyes met. He held out the paper. My resume, he said quietly. If the offer still stands. Sarah took it, her fingers brushing his. It does. For the first time since she'd met him, Marcus smiled. Just slightly. Just enough. And in that moment, Sarah knew this wasn't just about helping a stranger anymore. This was the beginning of something. A ripple of hope. The hum of the office was different now. Sarah watched from her desk as Marcus walked through the cubicles, no longer in his janitor's uniform, but in a crisp button-down and slacks. He carried a stack of files, nodding at co-workers who greeted him, some with warmth, others with lingering surprise. 3 weeks had passed since he'd started his new role in the records department. 3 weeks since Hartford Financial had approved his tuition assistance. 3 weeks since Sarah had last seen the exhaustion in his eyes. And yet, something still tugged at her chest. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Lily keeps asking when you're coming over again." Sarah smiled, her fingers hovering over the screen. She'd visited twice since that first night. Once to drop off groceries, once to help Lily with a school project. Each time, she'd told herself it was just being kind. Each time, she'd left feeling like she'd gained more than she'd given. Her reply was quick. "Tell her soon. Promise." The knock on her office door came just after lunch. Marcus stood there, an unreadable expression on his face. "Got a minute?" Sarah motioned him in, closing the door behind him. "Everything okay?" He hesitated, then pulled an envelope from his pocket. "First tuition payment cleared today." Sarah took the paper, scanning the official university letterhead. "Marcus, this is amazing."
Yeah.
He ran a hand through his hair, his voice quieter. "I just wanted to say thanks. Properly." Sarah shook her head. "You don't owe me anything." "I do." His dark eyes held hers. "You saw me when no one else did." The air between them shifted. Sarah's pulse quickened. Then Marcus cleared his throat. "Elena's making tamales tonight. Lily won't stop asking for you."
A pause.
"Will you come?" Sarah's breath caught. This wasn't just gratitude. This was an invitation into his home, his life. "I'd love to," she whispered. The house smelled of masa and simmering spices when Sarah arrived that evening. Lily barreled into her the second she stepped inside, tiny arms wrapping around her waist. "You came. Daddy said you would." Sarah laughed, ruffling the girl's hair. "I always keep my promises." Elena wheeled forward, her smile knowing. "About time you joined us for a real meal." Marcus emerged from the kitchen, his sleeves rolled up, flour dusting his forearms. The domesticity of it, him cooking, Lily giggling, Elena teasing, sent a warmth through Sarah's chest. Dinner was loud and messy and perfect. Lily chattered about school, Elena told stories about Marcus as a stubborn little boy, and Sarah found herself laughing more than she had in years. Later, as she helped wash dishes, Marcus nudged her shoulder. "You fit here." 3 simple words. 3 words that unraveled her. Sarah turned to face him, soap suds clinging to her hands. "I feel like I belong here," she admitted. Marcus's gaze softened. He reached out, brushing a stray curl from her face. "Maybe you do." In the living room, Lily squealed at something Elena said. The sound wrapped around them like a promise. Sarah had started this journey out of curiosity. She'd stayed out of kindness.
But now?
Now, she was exactly where she was meant to be. CTA. If this story touched your heart, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs a reminder that small acts of kindness can change lives. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales of hope and connection.